somewhere along in the journey, to create more meaning for ourselves, like for each other, for other people, we decided that fundraising was a way to do that.
Just in some of our prior trips, just feel like I gained so much personally that it's like, how can I want to give that
to other people?
Yeah. And sure, our story inspires people, but wanted to do even more than that.
It's important for us to tell our story, because the reason we're even here is because people decided to share a story. And so, actually 6 years ago, we went to the Adventure Film Festival. You took me. I ended up seeing this film called John's Boots, and John had passed away, and his wife, knew it was his dream to hike the Appalachian Trail and wanted to make that dream happen for him even though he was gone. And so all these people volunteered their time to walk John's boots all the way throughout the trail. And so there was, a father-daughter combo, and then one guy hiked a lot of it with the boots. But just that story was so meaningful to me, for the daughter-father team and their energy, and just, I don't know, I was like, we need to hike the Appalachian Trail. And then you were like, no, I think we should do the CT because it doesn't have ticks.
Sarah, being the artist that she is inspired by everything. Everything is new and inspirational to her. So she'll set these goals or be like, we should do this. And for me, it's a little like, once I get over the shock value of it and I contemplate it a little bit, I start thinking of the possibilities, like maybe I can do this, or I could do the Colorado Trail. It wasn't like, oh, I know I can hike 486 miles to Durango, but I was like, well, let me start with a hike. And just a little bit at a time. And for you, I feel like it's the inspiration. Like every step of the way, you're inspired to just go further and higher.
But that started small. Really, that trip at John's Boots was, I had never been to an adventure film festival before. And so honestly, my eyes were completely opened at that point in time. I was like, oh my gosh, people are doing these really beautiful things, and I want that. I want to do something beautiful. And so that was pretty much the first moment, because that's kind of where my life changed. Nothing to we're gonna hike the Colorado Trail, really, in essence. So it was that is where it bloomed in me. We're gonna just do this. Now since then, it's been we're just gonna do everything. So we hiked the Colorado Trail. So it took us 42 days. We had 5 packages. We pre-packed everything. I counted calories, coconut oil, nuts, meat, all the things. And tonight we were supposed to have rest days, mainly one rest day.
So Sarah convinced me to hike a 14er instead of having a rest day, and I was like, sure, I could probably do that. So we did it, and then
how many miles did it take me to convince you?
About 5 that day. I was like, well, if we can get within 1 or 2 miles of the trailhead to hike that 14er, then okay, I'll do it, because it's not that far. So we did it, and then, of course, after we summited Mount Huron, Sarah said, if I do one, I'm going to want to do them all. So that was when the beginning of her starting on me, do you want to hike all the 14ers?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I've been up long several times, so maybe I could do that.
So pretty much right after the Colorado Trail, we started thinking about and then planning going over to Europe and doing hiking Tour de Mont Blanc, and
110 miles.
110 miles, and so finally, we committed to that. So that trip quickly became postponed multiple times
Yeah.
So, like, we didn't do it 2020, we didn't do it 2021, and yes, we finally did it in 2022, but there was this big gap of time where it was like, I want to keep being outside and doing things. We did several that first season of 2018, and then, 2019, we definitely were doing more 14ers.
Yeah.
It was just something that was close by to keep us, like, in shape and keep us trained with the goal and the objective of going to Europe. But Europe, that goal the marker kept getting moved, so especially during COVID, spend time in the outdoors, and we wanted it to kind of have that essence of meaning like the Colorado Trail. So I started getting these ideas of how many peaks can we really do, and we should be out there for longer, create like more of a through hike out of these experiences. So we did the 11 peaks in 14 days, 2020, and then 2021, we ended up doing 5 peaks in 10 days, which included the Maroon Belt Traverse, which that was like a big moment in time where it was like, we didn't really know if we could like do all the 14ers. I think like the hopefulness, and especially for me, I just say like, no, I'm going to do this. Like, maybe I can't do it, but I'm going to tell myself I can. Like, I'm not going to start out with like a limited belief. I'm going to just start out with like, I can do anything, and then we'll just see how it goes. And I think like the Maroon Bells Traverse, one, put us over the halfway mark of getting all the 14ers done. Like on that traverse, that was the halfway point, going from like what, 29 to 30 or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All of that led us to want to start climbing more.
Doing that traverse, I didn't know if I'd be able to do it, but we had a beautiful day. We looked at each other and we were like, are we going to do it? And it was like, yeah, we're going to do it.
It was
and
like a magical
awesome.
traverse.
It was perfect.
It was a magical day. So that was super cool. So prepare for 2022, which is finally our Europe trip.
Right.
So, and then I think with like all the time that had passed, kind of added a few things. So instead of it just being Tour de Mont Blanc, it became, we're going to summit Mont Blanc. And then around like a month prior to leaving for this trip, that's when we went and watched An Accidental Life up in Estes. And so it just was so inspiring. I think, like, you and me, it just clicked in both of our heads. It's almost like we both had the thought, like, oh my gosh, we should use this opportunity to try and fundraise. Like, you go to these movie screenings, and you're so inspired, and you want to help and contribute, and sometimes, like, it stops there, or you just donate some money, but, like, that just seemed like perfect timing for us to be, okay, like, let's scramble, let's contact them, set up a fundraising page. But I guess it's also important to, like, talk about, like, why it hit home with us about, Unite to Fight Paralysis. My Uncle Dan, when he was in high school, was jumping off of a roof onto a trampoline with my dad, and he got partially paralyzed. But he went on to still ski for the U.S.
Disabled ski team.
Yeah. I thought it was really beautiful how the outdoors and, like, his goals really, like, changed his life. Kind of dealing with all of that. And so when we watched Accidental Life and became aware of U2FP and all that they do, it just kind of clicked for both of us. And we were like, this makes sense. Let's just fundraise. We've spent so much time waiting for this trip, and we're really grateful that we get to go. But let's make it about more than just a trip for us. And we don't have a huge platform or anything, but I feel like...
But any connection causes a little bit more visibility.
We flew into Chamonix, and we started with some training hikes up near Mont Blanc. We stayed in the Torino hut, and we did some practice crevasse traveling and
really cool.
Roping in with the three of us, and then we practiced like a T-axe belay where you can save someone who falls into a crevasse. And so our trip over there quickly turned into us realizing that our weather window for Mont Blanc and the enormous amount of rockfall that season because of such warm weather was just, it was probably unlikely that it was going to happen. We were probably going to end up staying up in the Goutier hut, clouded in and not doing anything. So our guide started to prep us for
the Gran Paradiso, which is the tallest peak in Italy. So we did get to summit that, and there were several groups that tried to summit that the day that we went up. The weather was still just socked in and kind of this raining snow. 2 or 3 groups got to summit, and we were one of the groups. We had about an hour window to make the final summit. So that was an awesome experience, my first experience on glacier travel. Mm-hmm. And after we summited, then we went on to hike Tour de Mont Blanc, which is about 110 miles.
Yeah.
And we
through
did it
France, Italy, Switzerland, and then back to France. So it was really cool.
And Sarah chose to guide us on all the variants, which have, of course, the most scenic views. It was beautiful.
And maybe more miles, and maybe more uphill. And it's already the Alps, so there's lots of up and lots of down.
And it was very challenging because we chose to do it the American way. We had our full backpacks. We camped out instead of staying in the refugios like most people do when they go over there. But we had these heavy packs and going up and down the Alps. It was just gorgeous. It was really a phenomenal experience. Yeah. I did throw my boots out when I was done.
Oh yeah, she was about to
really
kill her
were
boots.
Not comfortable. The boots died.
It's funny. I feel like we actually have a theme going of kind of making throughout all of our travels. You know, Colorado Trail through all the peaks. We have a tendency to make it more difficult. So we either like choose a variant or like
summits and go on this ridge line
or that ridge liner. And I don't know how I convince you, but I think somehow I do every time because it's just like it's gonna be better. It's gonna be more epic. And so yeah, that has been like throughout what we have done. So that kind of carries us into this year. Maybe we will be able to like save enough 14ers to have this trip where we had already done the 11 peaks in 14 days, and I was like, I would love to like leave enough so we could maybe try to do 14 peaks in 21 days.
The whole season, or this year, we ended up doing 19 peaks.
I know, yes, because
we did 14 of them in that 21-day window. Mm-hmm. 8 separate trailheads. So I'd be in the back of the car, like changing backpacks, like getting food packed, like switching everything out, and Sarah's driving.
I'm driving like over Independence Pass, and she's like sitting backward, like I think I'm getting sick. Like, just lay down, it'll be okay. But we're like rushing from like Snowmass to Mount Antero.
We accomplished all that. We got done with the 58, but it didn't feel quite finished. So there still seemed to be a little bit left.
Yeah.
So we added an extra credit, or Sarah added an extra credit, and I thought, well, I might as well go along.
To do Sunlight Spire, which is right next to Sunlight Peak in the Chicago Basin. It's a chunk of rock that's like about 40 feet, but it's a left-leaning crack climb up that chunk of rock that's like 5'10". And so our friend Bert,
Sarah threw out the idea of would he be interested in
going
down and do Sunlight Spire, and we were asking if he would lead it.
But yeah, so we got to do that and go in and like celebrate my birthday and climb Sunlight Spire. So it was super difficult. It was, I practiced a bunch in the gym, but this was like my first crack climb out. This is how I do things. I just throw myself in, like we're just gonna do this. I don't know how else to start. So anyway, I'm like, my first crack climb outside is gonna be Sunlight Spire and fun. I felt like it was a great workout. I'm really grateful to have someone lead us up that. And I'd love to like continue on and learn more. But yeah, it was a great kind of like we've finished this chapter of the Colorado 14ers, and like we're gonna kind of move into like, you know, more climbing stuff.
Was watching both these guys climb the Sunlight Spire, and I'm like, well, I'm here, I might as well at least try it, but I knew it was going to be difficult, and I did it with a little bit of help from my friends, because that was a tough crack climb.
You know, we not only completed all the Colorado 14ers, but like all 59, everything that's 14,000 feet in Colorado. So this was a huge accomplishment, and I was really happy to be there celebrating with you guys. It's like 5-year journey, and we did it.
We did it.
We did it.
Yeah.
So I put together a little bit of a film with different footage of like the 14 peaks and of Sunlight Spire, the little extra credit at the end. It's a goofy but beautiful and a mix of all sorts of things, but I just wanted to take you guys on that journey with us.
And then at the end, there'll be a link and QR code, and for anybody who wants to donate to U2FP. So thanks for watching.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening.
Yeah, we're super grateful just to have the opportunity to share our story and to help people while we're doing that. So we really appreciate you being here and listening to us for so long. So thank you so much.